Blueprints are mysterious and overwhelming until you get familiar with them. So I want to talk about what you might wish you knew, whether you're a homeowner or a concrete guy or a framer, about where do I look in a set of plans for the information I have to have in order to be successful, or at least get paid for what it is that I need to do according to this document. Blueprints can be understood in increasing levels of detail and complexity. If all you're worried about is what is the house going to look like, well, right here on the cover sheet is often a front elevation. By the way, elevation is the name of the view from looking horizontally at the structure. West elevation, east elevation, north, south, front, back, however it's described, the elevation is how it looks when you're standing on the ground. So if all you need to know is what the house looks like and the general notes, the cover sheet is the place. On the other hand, if you've got to prepare a price to put in the foundation or to frame this thing, there's a lot of information in here that you better pay attention to. All right, so let's just point out before I take one more step that this is a set of plans for the spec house that we built. If you didn't know we did that, check out the channel. We've got 150 videos of building this house, every step, from mowing off the blackberries on the lot to putting the shingles on the roof and everything in between. You might check that out. Now, I don't know, did you know that we have a subscription group, the Essential Craftsman Academy? Well, we do. And if you want to check that out, one of the things that's available, and there's a ton of stuff available, blacksmithing courses and educational courses and shop talk, which is a live Zoom meeting where people bring their plans and bring their questions and bring their expert opinions. We have, as part of the Essential Craftsman Academy membership, a PDF of these plans if you would be interested in having your own set. So, you know, go to our website, check out the Academy. Maybe there's something there that will interest you. But in the meantime, there's a lot more information in here that we're going to unpack right now. For general application, if you're worried about reading a set of plans, think about this. Somewhere near the front is going to be a site plan. The site plan is just that. It's looking from the sky at the property. The corners, the easements, the access, the utility lines, and the location of the structure are specified. Now, there's all kinds of stuff that could be on here. I mean, there's headings and bearings and lengths of property lines that may or may not be interesting. Setbacks, you better pay attention to that. That was very complex on this build. That point right there was a hill to die on. Once you get that nailed down, or maybe it doesn't even concern you because somebody else already did the surveying, then you can turn the page and get into some foundation notes, concrete notes, general notes that are going to reference the codes and the specifications that everything is predicated on. Maybe you don't need that on the first day, but you're going to need it eventually. A foundation plan is a funny looking thing because they have to represent the joists and the plywood sheeting and the outside lines on the footings and the actual lines and locations of the stem walls or the slab on grade. And so you think of drawings, the foundation drawings, in layers. You're looking through some of the work to see some of the work beneath, but you got to pay attention to all of it. And then when you have specific questions about, yeah, but what is that wall made of, and how wide is that footing, and how much rebar, this is a detail. You see that? This is detail G on page A6.3. So when we turn back to that, which we will do later, you can identify every one of these details on the pages noted underneath the letters noted, and they are usually flagged in the representative or the typical applications, which may occur in different places on the same building. Now, when you're looking at a foundation page like this, don't content yourself with looking at the lines that indicate the structure and the dimensions. Check the notes. The keyed notes are going to give you information that can't be specified in here without making it impossible to read. So the notes on the side are working in conjunction with the drawings on the page. One or the other is not enough. Together you get a complete picture and a defensible picture. If the plans say to do it and you do it that way, generally you're safe. Now, before I move on, and if you're a contractor, you already know this, or you're going to learn it the hard way, but if you're a homeowner, you may not have discovered yet that there is a difference between the plans, even the engineered plans, and the approved plans. So plans can come to us with different levels of confidence. and you had better not take it to the bank, either metaphorically or for real, before you have something close to an approved set of plans. Let's see what the approved plans say about this foundation page that might put the whole thing in a different light. On this set of approved plans, that note is mine. These color codings was done during the plan review process, just so that the plan inspector was sure that all of the details off of these schedules, the keyed notes, the hold down schedule, the pad footing schedule, just to verify that they all had been accounted for. And all of this happens under the rubric or under the umbrella of the engineer's stamp. Now, in a lot of cases, particularly in a more commercial set of plans, the engineer's stamp will be somewhere like this on every page. But here in Douglas County, Dave Thomas, good friend, good engineer who died of COVID, right in the middle of this build, by the way. I miss him. This are an example. These are his supporting calculations that the county used to validate what they were approving on this set of plans. So, all of that to say that just because it exists on the plans that you are bidding off of does not necessarily mean that it will exist or not exist on the plans that authorize the actual production of the structure. So I don't know where you live, I don't know how complicated the oversight is or isn't, but it's a danger to buy a set of plans off of Etsy. And you shouldn't, because you see it on Pinterest and you like it and you can get it for 10 bucks, you shouldn't assume that you can give it to a contractor and have a happy outcome. Now maybe you can, but it's rolling the dice, let me tell you that. So anyhow, moving forward, foundation plans, if you get your head into it and you go to the sections on the specified pages, you're going to have a ton of information that'll tell you what you've got to do. Now we come to a plan view. This plan view, this page is floor plan, first floor, dimensions. This is a simplified rendering of looking down from the sky onto the first floor so that you can actually read the dimensions and there's not a whole bunch of stuff encumbering with beams and structural and shear wall callouts. This is dimensions. This is handy when you're snapping the thing out. You see, there's not a whole bunch of notes. It's just the dimensions. But if we turn the page, and yours may be different than this, floor plan, that's from the sky, plan view, floor plan, first floor, notes. There's a whole bunch of information on this page besides the dimensions, which were on the previous page, that you've just got to have. There are door schedules, types of doors. There are window schedules, the dimensions and the type of windows. Now this doesn't specify the material. We went with a vinyl window. But this set of notes could have applied to any type, whether it was wood casement, aluminum clad, fiberglass, but these are the sizes and the type of operation. So you will see that there are different, although similar, section indicators located in slightly different places, showing different aspects of the details compared to what was on the concrete page. These sections are cut clear through the whole building, like from the top to the bottom, so you can see the details in each one of these walls. There's just a ton of information in the sections, and we'll get to those in a minute. But here's where you find them. These little arcane symbols, that's how you indicate a door and which way it's swinging. You see that? There's a 3068 door, and it is swinging this way. And I will just tell you that that is a left-hand swing. Swing of doors around here is determined by this little cliche. Put your butt to the butt, and it'll tell you the handing. Hinges on doors are called butts. They're butt hinges. So if you put your back end against the jamb that has the hinges on it, if it swings this way, it's a left hand. If it swings this way, it's a right hand. You don't need to get complicated with in swing, out swing. It's just butt to butt, right hand, left hand. So this next page is the same shape, but with way different information. This is showing floor joists that are going on those downstairs walls. You see they are shown underneath with the addition of beams, rafters, hangers, floor sheathing, roof sheathing, ridge beam over the garage showing a gable. So this is a hybrid between floor plan and roof plan that shows up where the first floor of the house, let me show you this, where the first floor of the house is covered by porch roof and garage roof. We haven't even talked about the second floor roof or partitions, but we are getting to the intersection between what's on the ground floor and what's up in the air. There's a ton of structural notes in here that dictate exactly what material has to be ordered, and then you have to figure out when it needs to get there. This becomes radically different. Here we have the floor plan, that is from the top, second floor. This is showing the living space upstairs. The stairs are referenced, and the partitions around the bedrooms, in the area over the garage. Now we've moved up in the world, but this is just floors and walls. The roof was initially addressed on the previous page. The porch roof is not even showing up because now we are getting the dimensions on what happens in the second floor. Now, in the same way that it was just dimensions on the first floor plan, I mean, when you first saw the floor plan and the ground floor, dimensions only, same thing here for clarity and ease of reading and getting the dimensions right. This page is just how big it is. That's handy. No notes, but when you turn the page, same thing, only different. Floor plan, second floor, notes pertaining to windows, shear wall schedules, those are important. The shear wall schedule has to be understood because it's not just the material, it's the nailing pattern and the blocking pattern, and you will definitely have rework to do if you don't get that right. But this begins to show the names of the rooms, how the stairs are actually going to work, how the bathrooms and the appliances and the closets and the door sizes, just like in the downstairs, there's a ton of detail that you better pay attention to here, and we haven't even gotten to the roof proper. This is where the details from those sections begin to show up. The cuts to the building and the details in the foundation plan, those kinds of things begin to show up here. This is detail 2, detail 5, detail 11, and these are all on page D1. So you learn to interpret the references on the previous pages to come back and get all of the information, turn down edge, footing width, rebar specification. There's just a ton of information, including things as detailed as the bends on the rebar, the depth and location of control joints in the slab. You have to absorb this, but not the first time you open the plans. Continuing with sections, and these are the large sections through the whole building. So you can look at this, imagine the building was sliced, and then drop back and see individual blown up details that are referenced on these sections back where we were just looking. It takes practice, it takes time, and it takes patience. There are things you do not want to shortcut unless you're ready to get out your wallet. So a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And a picture as detailed as these are worth tens of thousands of words. I mean, there's information on here. Type of granular fill is included back in the details and the notes and the sections. Drainage is specified, width of footings is specified back in these other places. You can come in here and get the information about how close together you put your standards or brackets on your stairway. All of the relative elevations are specified with this, each grade established so that you can measure off and figure your stud heights right off of this if they're not specified elsewhere. It's just, I don't know how you would ever describe in prose, clearly, in an actionable way, the information that is contained in sections and blueprints. And then we get to elevations. They complement all of the other drawings and give us a way to visualize in 3 dimensions what everything prior has just been representing in 2 dimensions. This is how it begins to emerge off the page. So for instance, the elevations that are referenced on the previous page can be understood at these various points, and you can begin to get a grasp of what you're up against. The aesthetic considerations begin to manifest. Gee, maybe I want a garage door that looks like that. Here's what those corbels are going to look like, and if they're not specified, you at least have a target to shoot for when you make your patterns. Elevations relative to siding, where you make transitions, where garage door headers happen. continuous vented roof lines. I guess the takeaway is, it is a foreign language, but you don't have to be fluent in order to keep track of a conversation. You just have to be careful, you have to be patient, you have to have an attention to detail, because if you are not focused on understanding everything that's represented here, or more properly, everything that's represented here, you're going to have some difficult conversations. But start in. You can draw them. If you just look at a set of plans for a while and understand how you show a door swing and how you understand and draw wall proportions and how scale works, you can sketch something out on the back of a napkin and sit down in the coffee shop and have a conversation with somebody about what your ideas are. When the rubber meets the road, buddy, you better have some idea of how to read a set of blueprints. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman. Keep up the good work.